Today, I did a few of the consultations. Y'all know that's been a big thing right now because I just started doing that. And it made me think about my good friend. And this one is about relationships that we have as we get into adulthood and how our trauma shapes our beauty. And I tapped into it a little bit on Sunday on Beautypioneers, but I think I'm going to do a series on it. And because I did the consultations today's a day off, everybody was off. So I had a lot of consultations all day today, and I was not able to post a video. Please forgive me. I wanted to do this video and dedicate it to women that have gone through trauma or have had trauma and are in relationships and don't even understand why we do the things we do, why we act the way we act, and how it shapes our beauty. So I'm going to try to tap into it a little bit real quick. And I definitely won't keep you guys long. So it made me think about, I had a great friend who's no longer with us. And you hear me talk about her a lot. She was like a Proverbs 31 girl, but of course she was in the world. She had so many talents. But one of the things that I admired about her, I was already always into the beauty world because I told you guys about my gay uncle who was into fashion and clothes and things like that. But when it came to this particular girl, I was like, when I met her, I was about, I think I was in the second grade when I met her or whatever. And she was what we call in Miami the B girl. Like, she had the jewelry, she had the hair, she had the makeup. And I admired that about her because even if she didn't have anything, she would take nothing and make it into something, right? Why am I talking about this story? She had confidence. If she wanted to do baseball, she played softball. She could dance. If she wanted a hairstyle, she can cut. She can, if she wanted to cook something, she can cook. If it was a outfit she wanted and she couldn't buy it, she knew how to sew it. You know what I mean? Everybody had that kind of friend that's like that. And this was my friend growing up. She was a little bit older than me. And one of the things that I noticed about her, she had one of the hardest childhood because her mom looked at her as a threat. And some people, they don't want to talk about this, but some mothers can be jealous of their children, their daughters especially, right? And she had that mom. So if the mom had a man, she was like, you better get out of here because I got a man. So we look back on those things, and I was having a conversation with someone about her, and I was like, you look back on those things, and that kind of like shaped her, you know, and it shaped me as well. Not her story, but my own story, and how she took that because, you know, just think about that now that we're older, right? And you think about whatever kind of trauma you had. But for her, it was her mother that was mentally abusive and verbally abusive and physically abusive. That was the first person that you meet in the world is your mom. And that was how she handled them. Figure it out. You didn't eat today. You better figure it out. I'm going to work. She was that kind of mom. So when you look at the things that she had to go through, she really didn't have a chance in this world, but she fought like hell to have one, right? And so she had a lot of mental and certain verbal abuse, but she still was outgoing. She's never allowed for a long time anything to beat her down. I'm talking about from when we was in elementary school. Then when she got to junior high school, she by elementary, she was already fighting everybody because she was angry, right? But then when she got to high school, she met a guy, and the guy was like that knight in shining armor. And I'm telling you this story because a lot of us can identify with it. It may not have been that foundation, may have not been the same, but a lot of us Black women have these stories. And he was one of the nice looking guy, dressed nice. He was in the game. If some of you know what I'm talking about. and he laid the foundation. He laid it out. He taught her how to be more soft, how to be a lady, all these different things. But there was one catch. He loved to put hands. And you know what I mean? He loved to put hands on her. And because she was taught that from a foundation, she loved to put hands too. So when it was good, it was good. Y'all, you know those kind of relationships. But when it was bad, oh baby, it was bad, you know. And one of the things I remembered her doing, and I look back on it and I was like, man, I did the same thing in my relationships, was the fact that she kept looking for her mom and other people to conquer that relationship that she wanted to be so perfect and just so. And I don't know if any of you can identify with it, because I say we're feeding our demons. We're feeding our demons. Everything she did, when I told you she went out for softball, all those different things, her mother never contributed. Her mother didn't even know about those things, right? She was like, well, if you want to, if she did find out about it, she said, if you want to do it, you better figure it out how to do it, because I'm not giving you anything. I'm not going to the games. She had no support when it came to that. So, but in that, even though a lot of us, you may have some type of abuser in your life, right? And I'm talking to if you didn't go through that, please don't comment. This is for people women that are Black women, especially that have dealt with this, and try to understand why in relationships, and even in not just relationships with men, just overall, why we do the things we do. And I talked about this on Sunday. I was saying how we have to look deeper into why we want to hide our hair, hide our identity. And I was talking about even the makeup. Like, I know Dawn was explaining how makeup enhances you, and it does enhance you. But a lot of us did makeup because we want to hide our trauma, or hide the things, the scars, the different things like that. We want to hide it, right? And then, so going back to her, I don't want to say her name, going back to that particular person, I watched her go from a relationship to relationship, and she had two, it was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. She had that Dr. Jekyll where she was like kind and loving and super smart and witty and all these different things. And then that Mr. Hyde, I don't know which one is good or bad, where she would get angry. She would think about things that has happened to her. She'll be in a relationship and something that the guy did triggered her from what the mother did. And then it was this, it was the clashing. And so I kept seeing her. And then as, I got older, we stopped hanging out or whatever. But eventually, we would cross paths every now and then because we live in Miami. And I remember the last conversation we had together. And it was like 2 weeks before she passed away. And that was more of the somber. And she was, she was still in her 20s, right? And the thing that I saw in her when she said the things that she said, I'm just tired. She wanted that thing. She just wanted that love. It's like she was going from place to place, people to people. And not just, like I said, a man relationship, friendships where you got friends, and we're going to talk about that in another video, where they were jealous of her, and she had everything. Men, because she was so beautiful and stunning, men wanted her. So it was nothing that she couldn't ask for, that she couldn't get. But the one thing she wanted was to the trauma from her childhood, from her mother. She wanted that through all of her relationships to be fixed. She wanted that perfect relationship. And I know a lot of us can identify with it, where we want that perfect relationship. And so what do we do when we want that perfect relationship? We, now I'm going to go into the men, and I'm telling you, we're going to deal with different series. But when it comes to a man, a lot of us, not everybody, but a lot of us will find a guy. He's attracted to you. You're attracted to him. And you start this relationship. And then all of the superficial things, the representative that he gives you and the representative that you give him, is what you actually are like infatuated with. It's not really love. You're infatuated with that. And so what happens is, and I can talk about this because I have done it. What happens is in my young life is that we take on the identity of what we think that that man wants us to be. You ever heard the saying where they say when you start dating a man, like you don't tell him everything that the last man did, because if you tell him everything that the last man did, he gonna play the role for as long as he can till he get the nookie, and then you gonna see the real him. Which is a lot of times you dating the same people because those people remind you of that trauma that you had in your past, whatever that may be. So you'll keep, only thing is changing is the faces and the bodies, but the actual, that spirit, that actual thing, it's there because you're drawing it in. And you know why you're drawing it in? Because that is within you. So because a lot of times we don't forgive, we keep rehearsing it and rehearsing it. We suppress it, and then we get into relationships, something triggers, we bring it back out. So the same thing that that person did to us, we bring it into the relationship and we add to it. So what does that look like, right? Sometimes you may get into a relationship. Okay, we're talking about men now. You'll get into a relationship with a man and he like, I like a woman with long hair. She got to be, you know, I like her thick in the thighs, thin in the waist. You know how that goes, right? Or I like a girl with short hair, and you're like, okay, let me fit into that. Now that's not your husband. It's somebody you're dating. And you're like, okay, let me fit into this. Let me fit into his world, because if I become perfect to him, then I'm good. Now, I love short hair. I absolutely love short hair. I've realized that since 12th grade. And the other day, I don't know if you guys noticed, Sunday, I had a lot of hair on my head. What's today? Tuesday? Monday I wore it, and Tuesday this morning I washed it all out. I was like, I can't do it. And I got some extensions in there, but I just can't do with all of that. I tried it. It annoyed me. It bothered me. Now I had some people that were like, oh my gosh, I love you with that hair. That looks so good on you. You look good with long hair. And I was like, thank you, thank you. But inside, I did not want to look like that. I didn't like it. It was hot. I wake up, I feel it on my, my neck. I'm like, oh, no. You put the clip on it too much. Then you traveling, you walking around, you got to toss it over. That's not for me, And as I'm saying all of these things, because I thought to myself, I remember there was a time that I would get into relationships, and whatever that man said he wanted or he liked, I did. Now I know some of you somebody gonna come on here with the slick rap, and listen, I'm ready for it, and be like, oh child, that's you. Your insecurities. We women have done far more than what I'm talking about. And so, but the one thing I did not do, I'm going to tell you, I struggled with it, but I did not do. I struggled more with my weight than I did when it comes to because I knew what looked good on me. So I'm like, if he likes me, then he just gotta like me, because I'm not doing the long hair. I'm not really on that. And I'm saying this because a lot of us have to fix the inner part of us. It's going to be hard. You will find yourself that later in life, in your 50s and 60s, 70s, 80s, still talking about what happened to you from childhood, and we never heal from that, right? We never heal from that. And so we continue to go into relationships with our costumes on, right? And what I mean when I say costumes, meaning like however he wants me to look, that's what I'm going to give him. And then a lot of times men just get off, some men, they get off on being in control of you. Look how I got her. They're in control of you, meaning that they know that there's a victim. They know that you're dealing with issues. And so they're saying you're too fat. You need to lose some weight. You got blotches. You need to bleach a little bit. I've seen women that do that. I don't like your hair like that. I don't like hair that has weave in it. Okay. I don't date women that have weave in their hair. Oh, I like this kind of hair. I like this person with this kind of hair. All these different things. And what we do is that we get into them and we're continually changing our identity, but never living the full life of who we are. We never live out the purpose that God has had for us, right? Some of us are in or have been in abusive relationships. And we were taught to die, right? To fall off from self and become that identity of a man. And that's whether you are boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife. We've seen that countless times, whether they were celebrities or whether they are just regular everyday people, family members, right? But it has to come a time where we say, this is enough. So I did consultations today. And most of the women, out of all the women, I'm going to tell you about 90% of the women were dealing with issues of childhood, adolescent trauma, half of them, and the other half were dealing with, they were in an abusive relationship. And that just don't happen. You just don't come across and say, hey, Lee, I want a consultation. And you thinking like, hey, I need, of course, we're going to go into the hair. And I'm going to tell you how to take care of your hair. And I'm going to give you those nuggets. And you're going to see the change, right? But I can't only show you, I have to ask you the questions that led you to whatever the mishap in your hair is. So when I'm asking those questions, I tend to understand that, okay, from that foundation, a lot of us women, we are stuck there. And we have to be able to heal. We have to be able to talk about it. And I'm so grateful that those women today trusted me to be able to expose themselves, whether, you know, one person was bullied. You know, some of the things I went through, they were bullied. And they just didn't think that they were beautiful. So they have a group of friends. This is how deep this thing is. They have a group of friends that they have been friends with since high school and college. And because everyone is doing the hair extensions and the weave, which is nothing wrong with it, y'all. Yeah, I'm wearing it now. But because everyone is doing it, she's doing it. But she actually doesn't like any hair extensions. She pays a hefty bill every month, right? But she doesn't like doing those particular hair. She don't want to do a hair extension. She said, I actually like my hair short. I really want to go like a low afro. So why don't you do it? And then you hear the stories. Well, you know, I'm the middle child, and everybody else was light skinned. I was dark skinned. Or you hear the story about my sisters them had long hair and I didn't really have long hair. And so my mom started me getting hair extensions at a young age. And so it's so many stories behind it. One young lady, and I asked permission, was dealt with being in foster care and always going from home to home in homes where there were no black people, but she was a black woman. And what they would do is either throw a relaxer in her hair and never kept her kept, or put extensions in her hair. And when she said to herself, when I get older, I'm going to look like this. So we find the identity that we like instead of what we actually like, and we fit into that world. So I guess the purpose of this video is for us to talk about the core reasons why we are making decisions that regardless of what, we're going to damage our hair, and we don't care, because whatever we can do to ignore the trauma, we'll do that. But we don't realize that trauma, we are actually, it's shaping your beauty. It has shaped your beauty. You probably have been walking around a certain way. And I said this on Sunday, women who have gone through a bad divorce, and they like, I don't want to be married ever again, you know. And guess what they say? Because I saw, what's his name? Is it Michael Baisden? He put up a thing and said, women, how is it going with you being single? And I wanted to read the comments. They were like, oh, I'm happy. I don't have to get up and do my hair and do my makeup. and put on all these clothes. I don't have to please no man. It's peace in my house. I like being alone. You hear all these things. People come in my comments and say crazy stuff too. And I'm like, baby, that's trauma. You're not healed and you're not living. You keep, every one of them was like peace. Oh, I got peace. You don't have peace because you're remembering, you're rehearsing, you're dealing with that over and over again. That thing, that hiccup in your life, whatever that case may be in that divorce, has gotten you to a point where you don't even want to take care of yourself. You think that you're getting, who are you getting over on? You have no desire to take care of yourself. So your beauty is wrapped up in your trauma. And I need us to get it, because you can do all the consultations you want. And trust me, I love it because I get to really hear, and it's very intimate, and it helps me grow as well, ladies. But the trauma that you have, if you don't deal with it, you will go through your life and leave this earth never really truly being happy. And it will come a time in your life, you might be young, but it will come a time in your life that you're going to say, you know what? I'm tired of living this, whatever this facade is. That situation has held me in prison so long. And I did a post like that. And if you look at you on the YouTube post, I did a post about your perspective. It'll either keep you in prison or it'll give you a passport. It's something like that I wrote. And a lot of us are in prison because of our childhood traumas, because of things that have been said. Just one word. That's why our words are powerful. Just one word has shaped women in a way, especially Black, when we have gone through all kind of stuff. And I'm not to diminish other race of women, but I'm talking to my sisters because I know what I've gone through. And so we got to get this under wraps. This is the introduction to a series of things that I'm going to talk about when it comes to relationships, and also tying them in with our hair. So today we're talking about this, and next week we're going to, in the next video, I'm going to talk about how your hairstyles tell us things about you, right? That you may not even think. You actually, and I said that you think that you're hiding it. You're not hiding it. We can see it. We can see the pain. We can see the trauma. We can see the anger. We can see all of that, you know? So I pray that this video has helped you. And if you want consultation, so the ladies, eventually they're going to start sharing testimonies of not the intimate part, but they're going to start telling you about how the consultation has changed their lives, not just the mental part, because I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a therapist, I'm a hair coach. But I have to, I don't force them, but I tell them, you got to dig here and heal that situation in order to, when you do come and your hair is growing and is flourishing, that you're embracing all of it. Because when you start embracing your natural beauty, right? Everyone in the house benefits. Everyone in your life benefits. And you benefit. And that's the most important part. So I pray that this video has helped you. And I'll see you guys next video. Bye.